It's time now for the award-winning #1 local talk show in Northeast Pennsylvania, The Sam Lesante Show. Now here's your host, Sam Lesante.
Welcome, everyone, to the Mayor's Report. I'm Sam Lesante. You're watching the Mayor's Report on Comcast 190, seen every day in the Pottsville area on Comcast 190 from 7 to 11 p.m. And, of course, Service Electric Cablevision Channel 13 and 513 24/7. Giving you an information of what's happening in the city of Pottsville. It affects all the areas. My guest, of course, is the mayor himself, Mayor Dave Clews. Dave, how you been?
Not too bad, Sam. Keeping busy as, every month goes by, something new happening and, a new adventure to go to.
So, did you expect to do what you're doing when you ran for mayor? Okay, so sometimes you have visions of what you want like to do, and then when you get in a job, say, "Oh God, it's not what I thought it would be."
There are a lot of those, oh my moments, but as a whole, it's been what I expected, and I still have some other things I want to achieve in my 4-year term, but. I'm 9 months in, and and getting a better feel every month to what's going on, and I think there's a lot of good things on the horizon.
Well, the good thing that you have going for you, you've been involved in the community for many, many, many years. Okay, so you have your finger on the pulse as to what's happening, and it's not like a strange thing for you. Am I correct in saying that?
Yeah, I've been involved with the Business Association, the Clews, the Fire Department, and I'm born and raised here in Pottsville. Mm-hmm. And, I have my own business here for 20 years. I've worked in the business community for well over 40 years locally. So I like to think I'm, a little more tuned into things than most. So
good. All right, since we've had the last show, anything happen?
Well, last time we talked about a lot of new businesses that are, in progress and opening up. We actually have another one going to open up on October 1st called Bailey's Bones Canine Bakery is opening up. We have a business that's presently under construction out on Laurel Boulevard. A small convenience and deli is being built out there. In the same block, the Pottsville beverage distributor, which for years was kind of just a 2-bay garage converted into a beer distributorship, has done a fantastic remodel on the front of it and inside, and so a lot of growth that way. Good to see that type of building going on and people renovating, so exciting that way. And then we have some big events coming up in the next couple of weeks. We have Oktoberfest, put on by the Business Association, event to draw people to Pottsville and downtown. Kind of a German good old Oktoberfest. Music, vendors, food, of course beer. They're going to be doing a yodeling contest. You might want to come down and try that. Yeah. And also a beer stein holding contest, which I was just asked to MC, so that'll be, kind of a great day in Pottsville. And they're resurrecting the St. Patrick's Day Parade. The Business Association is. It kind of disappeared for a couple of years, and people were asking, was it going to come back? And the AOH locally that organized it for years, like a lot of organizations, they was getting older and their numbers were down, and they really couldn't sustain it any longer, so the Business Association said, hey, here's an event we can get behind and bring back. I know they've got 5 or 6 bands already lined up for it. So another great event to happen in Pottsville again.
The Oktoberfest every year seems to be a great event here. I mean, other than other events, but I'm saying the Oktoberfest seems to be draws a lot of people from different areas.
Well, when you're the home of America's oldest brewery, it kind of goes along with it. It was well received, and this, like I said, PBA is running it now for the 2nd year. As a past president of PBA, I remember we worked with a couple $1,000 budget, and that was on a good year. And when I say a couple, I mean about $2,000. That event has enabled them to raise a substantial amount of money, And what PBA's idea is, their whole idea is to, support and bring things to Pottsville that hopefully grow our business district. And now they have a budget that really can make that happen.
All right, so how does all these activities that you have in town, how does it benefit the taxpayer? How does it benefit the community? How does it benefit, the surrounding areas? I mean, they participate. I know when you run the Clews, you've given thousands of dollars to different organizations in town. So how does this benefit?
Well, it goes to, the popular term is quality of life. People are looking for something to do in their hometowns, and, Oktoberfest, St. Patrick's Day, safe trick-or-treat night, those are all things that lend themselves to that. The Pottsville Cruise, the Soapbox Derby, things in a town that, people can enjoy and bring the quality of life. And at the same time, while that's happening and the businesses are doing more business, with business privilege tax goes right to the bottom line for the city's budget. So it has a real trickle down effect. Besides bringing families together and promoting business, ultimately it does trickle down back to City Hall and helps with budget items for the next year. It's just more income.
It's interesting, since we've been doing these shows, Schuylkill Explore. They promote every day on our channel, and Regina does a fabulous job. I mean, but when I look at Schuylkill Explore and I look at all of the things that you have going on in Schuylkill County, not only in Pottsville, it's just amazing. I think a lot of people don't really understand. Excuse me, I wouldn't say understand, but know of the opportunities that are here, not only in Pottsville, but in Schuylkill County. It's a great county, and we get emails saying, is Pottsville a model town? With cities today, there's different ups and downs. How do you react to that as the mayor of Pottsville?
It is one of the things, as I've assumed this seat, that I've come to realize that, Pottsville is the biggest city in Schuylkill County. And a lot of the surrounding communities do look to us and, try and model and look at what we're doing, and, we're kind of a leadership that way. Still a little hard for me getting used to that in the chair, yeah. But I think we are, and I think we're trying to, think outside the box and do some things differently to move forward. And I've seen it happening just with the business community in downtown Pottsville. And you said, with the events and all the things that go on in the county, as someone who's planned them, that is an issue, because we have to sit down and you want your event to be that day, and a lot of times you're moving it 2 and 3 weeks in either direction because you don't want to be taking away the thunder from somebody else's event, or likewise them taking away from whatever you're planning. So there is a lot going on.
And when you speak of a lot going on, my friends, we have this show, but I'm happy to say today we have members of the Pottsville Republican here, a reporter and a photographer, and I have to tell you that recently we did a polling, Susquehanna research polling, and we got the official results just this week. We're going to release them probably in a few weeks. The Pottsville Republican came out very, very well in this particular survey, and I want to congratulate the people at the Pottsville Republican for the great work that they're doing in this community and getting the word out. And it's so important these days. Paper's still a strong opportunity to know what's going on, and we're hoping our local neighborhood programming does the same thing. We'll take a break. We'll come back right after this. Welcome back to the Sam Lesante Show, folks. Remember, this is the Mayor's Report, seen every day here on Comcast 190. Remember, on from 7 to 11 p.m. every day on Comcast 190. And, of course, those of you who have Service Electric Cablevision on Channel 13 and 513. Monthly report, Mayor Dave Clews is here giving us a review of what's happening. And once in a while we have a guest, and today's guest is no stranger to the Pottsville area, our Chief of Police, Rick Wojciechowski. Am I saying that name correct?
That's pretty
And I said
close,
that's
Sam.
full-blooded Italian, isn't it?
That is. I have a little bit of everything that I just call on whatever's convenient at the time. So.
How long have you been here, Rick?
With the Pottsville Police, this is my 31st year. I've been the Chief of Police for the last 9 years.
And how is it?
It's great. It's great. We have our problems like all communities, but I always remind people, and myself sometimes, we're far better off than a lot of places are.
Yeah. In general, how many members you have on the force?
Currently we're running with 22 strong, I would say. We have a very talented mix of senior officers and supervisors, and a very strong, diversely talented younger group that's coming on. So,
what is your desire? I mean, how many?
Desire.
Yeah.
So when I started, we had 34 officers handling probably half the calls. 24 is probably optimum now. It's like any other business. You do more with less, and people work harder, to achieve the same results. And we're lucky that we have employees that buy into that and do it. But we're one or two below what we would really like to run with. But we're making do.
Does that affect, the service to the community when you have less than what you'd like to have?
We can't let it affect the service to the community. So we have to
maintaining that.
We have to adapt and overcome and find diverse ways to still give the public what they expect and what they deserve.
Every city, it seems to me, Hazleton, Wilkes-Barre, Scranton, whatever, has unique concerns. And some Wilkes-Barre may be different than Pottsville than Hazleton. What are some of the concerns, that we have here in when it comes to police enforcement?
I agree there are diverse concerns, but there's a lot of identical concerns. They're just on different levels. And with Pottsville's proximity to much larger metropolitan areas, being very close, we share the problems that they have, and so everyone understands that homelessness is a problem in the communities. Everyone understands that addiction is a big problem in the communities. We're working to fight those. We have our own drug investigation task force now, who is working overtime, addressing problems within the city. And we've also recently restarted a cooperative agreement with several task forces, which include county, state, and federal officials. And that's kind of one of the ways you adapt. So we cannot no longer put 10 of our officers on one drug investigation at one time. But utilizing resources from an outside agency that's working cooperatively with us allows us to still give that service to the public. The addiction problem has to be addressed on many levels. We're just one of them. And outside of treating the addiction, it's the crime that accompanies that to support the addiction.
Have you seen any decrease in addiction problem? Because throughout the years, there's been so much education, from all kind of law enforcement, DAs or whatever, giving as much information as to how devastating drugs can be and what they can do. So have you seen a decrease over the years, or is it the same, or is it growing?
I would characterize it as more deadly right now.
Wow.
Because of the drugs and the potency of the drugs that are available. And lots of times people that are struggling with addiction aren't even aware of the drug they're taking at that time or the potency. So yes, I've been around a while and I've seen the ebbs and flows and the change in the products, whether it be cocaine, heroin, crack cocaine, pharmaceuticals, and now it's fentanyl and derivatives of fentanyl. So it's much more deadly right now. We've been very good at knocking off open air dealings that some cities still deal with. We have been able to attack people who push the products within the city. So now we're working on people that bring it in from other areas. So in that regard, we're doing well. But the threat is much more deadly now than it ever has been.
How can the community, help, the law enforcement? How can they participate?
Just the way that our community is right now, they're outstanding. We've developed a very strong relationship with the community through outside events that we do with them and different types of patrols, and we need their information. So when they feel confident and support us enough to reach out and give us information that they're seeing firsthand, that enables us to put resources in the right place at the right time. So it's as simple as picking up the phone and calling up and giving a tip. And it may be to one officer that you feel you're more comfortable with than another. It can be anonymously, it can be email. Any way you want to reach out to us, we're here.
That's the concern people have sometimes. They don't want to get involved. They see something happening and they're afraid. Well, if I call, then, especially when you're dealing with drugs.
Yes.
Okay, you don't know what you're
Sure.
dealing with, okay? What do you say to these people who are hesitant sometimes?
For at least, well, more than 5 years, I was doing drug investigations solely. I was off the regular roster, and I handled literally hundreds and hundreds of informants and information gatherers. So I personally can attest to their anonymity when they want it, without question, and that's been proven. And so I expect that of the officers that are doing it now, and I'm able to expect that because they are of the highest standard. And I trust them just as if I was speaking to the person myself.
Still looking for officers, aren't you?
We're always looking for officers.
It seems to be tough these days.
It's a national problem. It's not just with us. We've started up some unique ways to hopefully help with that. We now are offering regular online tests, so virtual test taking for the first step. We're a civil service process. Mm-hmm. There has to be a written test that passed. So now people can take that at home. They sign up and can do it right there. Mm-hmm. And if they pass that, we're having a rotating schedule for them to come and pass their physical test. So historically, it's been one day you came, you took the test, one day you came and took the physical, and you had to be in Pottsville on that day. It's just not really fair to ask people who may be working other jobs or may have family concerns for different dates. We're giving them as much opportunity as possible to show an interest in our department and to obtain the ability to be considered for hiring.
That's good. Now, there's a lot of projects that you're involved with. I see here the school safety plans. What's that about?
Well, the school safety obviously is on everyone's agenda now. Unfortunately, because of national events, recent and historic. We really were leading the way in the area in working collaboratively with our schools, and we have quite a few in the city. It's not just Pottsville Area School District. Yes. We have Nativity, and we have Assumption BVM, and we have a lot of preschools, Gillingham as well. So we work very closely with them in helping them develop their own school emergency plans on site. But what we've also done is make sure that every officer, and that's 100% of our roster right now, is certified in alert training, which is the national standard in a rapid response for an emergency situation. So if something would come up, and we never wanted to, but we are prepared to come from all areas of the city, even at home, and handle that in a uniform way where we all expect certain actions of one another and then to handle that successfully and quickly. That's a big thing for us, and the training is unique, and it adds another layer of what I feel is a calmness to the teachers and the faculty at the schools and parents to know that we have that in place for them, and hopefully we never use it.
Speaking of training, do you go into the schools and train or tell the students if something should happen, and they're educated to that?
We do. Some of the schools have their own programs. They've sent people away to be trained, and they do a good job. Mm-hmm. I personally have done programs at the Pottsville School Districts. Just last year, I went and spent a day with the Nativity faculty, and we went over everything from A to Z. Yeah. And it's very, very good because it allows us to be much more specific in their planning for their building. It works out well.
What to do in case something should happen.
And we also do random walkthroughs. We go to all the schools unannounced and just walk through, say hello to the children. They're used to seeing us in our uniform.
Which is great.
But we're also keeping an eye out for any kind of safety concerns we might see. And it's a big deterrence to anyone who's watching that area, possibly, even to do something minor.
So
they don't know when we're coming. We have regular patrols 24/7, of course, but this is something a little extra where we're out of the car and we're doing some personal communication inside the building.
Okay. Before I wrap this up, and I appreciate you coming on the show, advisory boards are great. When I say that is sometimes there's people in the community that have a lot to offer. All right, in terms of, I may have a suggestion for the police department. I may have this, I may have that, in lieu of whatever area you're working with. Do you welcome these kind of, comments and interjections?
Absolutely, we do. I mean, the mayor and I are available for police-related matters 24/7. If you can't reach us here at City Hall, if you can't reach us by email, there's voicemails that are available all the time. It would be foolish not to listen to the people we serve. The same way they give us information we talked about specifically with drug trafficking, they can give us lots of ideas for other things. And we're fortunate. We're very fortunate in Pottsville because of community relation activities we've done in the past, and because of the historic service they've seen us provide. They trust us, we trust them, and there's a good relationship.
Yeah. Are you married, Ray?
Yes.
You have any children?
3.
Okay. Yeah. And I say that for one reason, my friends. When these people get up in the morning and they leave their home, they don't know what they're going to encounter. And so when you see an officer, anyone, a state trooper, policeman, anyone is involved, give them the respect and understand that it's unfortunate sometimes they go through the work and they don't come home because they're protecting you. So it's a great opportunity. I applaud all of you who are in the law enforcement.
We appreciate that, and I thank you for the time to talk about my department, which I'm always proud to do.
You're welcome anytime.
All right,
That's
thanks.
if I could get the mayor to be quiet. We're being
all right. Thank you.
Okay, that's our chief here in Pottsville, Chief Rick Wojciechowski. I'm saying that right. I feel good about that. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to the Sam Lesante Show, folks. The Mayor's Report, seen here every day on Comcast 190, giving you information what's happening in Pottsville. Not only Pottsville, it affects the entire area. Of course, my guest is the Mayor of Pottsville, Dave Clews. You can watch his YouTube channel or our website, which is on the screen. All the shows are available to you. Interesting meeting. It's the first time I met the chief. He has his act together.
He sure does. I'm awful proud of him.
Yeah, you should be very proud of the fact that you have a great force like that, and that's so important. It was very informative, and he knows what's going on.
Yes, he does. He's very tuned into what's happening in the city. He's born and raised Pottsvillian, and has one great group of officers, working with him.
Well, they all have to be thanked because it's a challenge, as I said. All right, wrapping up, what's happening going on now in the city?
Well, we just wrapped up, Sam, getting our street paving done for 2022 as much as the budget allowed us, and then a little beyond that. We were already started working on our list for next year of streets to be paved. So, if we didn't get to you this year, you're probably on the horizon soon. Believe it or not, there was a street paint shortage, so we finally took care of that. Yeah, we were out of paint to be able to put the stop signs and the crosswalks in, but we got them in before the school year.
Is that special paint?
It's a special paint, yeah. It's, so we actually had to run to Allentown and pick up a pickup truck load of that when it became available. So that project's been done. We're taking down 5 more blighted properties this fall. Always a problem with those type of things, but before they're a real safety hazard, they got to go. My city administrator and city council continue to look for, we just found some new grant programs that we'll be applying for. They've been very active and pretty successful at that. You never know how those things are going to go, but they're out there looking for them because, again, budget, our budget, we have our departments working on that to present their 2023, line items to us and see where that goes and get that worked out for next year. So we've been pretty busy and keeping active. I got to do another wedding this past weekend. Yeah, it's one of the perks as being mayor. I always say there's 2 things that when somebody's telling me about potholes and all the other challenges with parking and so on, the offsetting penalties, as I call them, is getting this thing to 100-year-old Pottsville citizens and getting to do a wedding now and then. And I just did the wedding for Sean Matz and Olivia Wartell this past Saturday. Did it at Yingling Park, which if you haven't seen Yingling Park on Montunga Street, beautiful, serene grounds that the Yingling family donated, made for a great backdrop, and got to enjoy doing that. So we're keeping busy.
Well, we wish the newlyweds the best. Too bad they had you to marry them, but what are you going to do? It must be interesting, though. I mean, performing a wedding and it makes you feel good.
It really does, and a lot of people know my story and the loss of my wife. So when I'm doing a wedding now, beyond I'm just honored to do it. It has kind of a deeper meaning for me because I know hopefully starting a lifetime together for a couple. And
now, do you give words of wisdom and words of advice after they say "I do"? Because you don't want to say it before they say "I do." You want to wait.
I usually open. I just found a unique way. I opened with.
Are you crazy?
Yeah. I just go with, it's kind of like being the mayor. It's you got to love what you're doing to be successful at it, and going into a marriage, you got to love the person you're going to be with to be successful at it. Yeah. But along the ways, there's the potholes and the parking issues, and you have to navigate those. And I say, just always remember the I love yous. In those moments you look at each other and smile and have no idea why. And then I do the formal ceremony. So I try and come up with something to plant a little bit of thought.
I'm writing a book. It's called Psst. P-S-S-T. Everyone who's getting married, who are married, it's P for patience, S for sacrifice, another S for silence, another S for solitude, and T for tolerance. And you don't have, this is not chapter 1, you can pick any chapter. And that's so important these days, to understand what married life's all about. That's my sermon for the day. Dave, we get a lot of response from the show, a lot of people asking, just commenting, knowing to know what's happening, and the purpose of the show is basically to bring information, what's happening in Pottsville, but it also affects surrounding areas. I want to thank you for always allowing us to come into your office.
I appreciate the opportunity. It's a pleasure to be able to share with people another medium to get the word out. Hey, here's what we're doing, and here's what's going on, and here's where to find us.
Okay. Well, my friends, thanks for joining in. We'll see you next time.